Whether you're a freelancer or running or working in a small production company, there's always going to be gear you kind of wish you didn't waste your money on. But there's also gems, from cameras to lenses, lights and hardware, that you find yourself patting yourself on the back for your purchasing decision. In this video, I want to give a quick shout out to a few bits of gear that I use all the time and I'm very happy to recommend to you. Before kicking things off, please let me know in the comments below your experiences with any of our kit that I'm about to talk about, or alternatives that you prefer. All right, onto the gear. In at number 10, unfortunately, due to some frustrating reliability issues, I haven't added our Ursa Mini Pro G2 to this list. I'd love to make that number 10, but I had to send one back 3 times in a year, and as much as I love the thing, I'm not adding it here. Although it is back with me now and working beautifully. What I am adding here, if you have an Ursa, is the SSD recorder module, which we ordered back when we first got our Ursa G2 in September 19. Paired with Samsung Pro SSDs, this thing has been flawless and saved us a ton of money in memory cards. It does make the Ursa longer and heavier, so not great for gimbals, but we use our 6K on gimbals. The G2 goes on sticks or on the shoulder. If you're an Ursa shooter and you don't have the SSD recorder, maybe think about it. We can shoot such long days now without running out of card space. Number 9, the Gtech Shuttle XL. I've had this thing for a good 2 or 3 years now, and it's been superb. I'm recommending it here because it's one of those bits of hardware that I barely think about because it just works. It's fast and it's been reliable. Mine's the 24 terabyte setup in RAID 5, giving me a little over 18 terabyte of usable space. I'm not super techie when it comes to computers, but this RAID array is easy to move around, and after a bit of a tricky process formatting it for PC when I first got it, it's been smooth sailing since. Number 8, the Fuji XT3 and the 16-55 f2.8. This camera came out of nowhere to me, and yes, it has been superseded by the X-T4 with 5-axis image stabilization and higher frame rates, but you can pick one up today for less than $1,000 new from B&H. The colors are sensational, it takes awesome stills, I love taking it on location scouts, and it doubles as an awesome stills camera with the family. It's also a nice run and gun gimbal camera for corporate and event work. We recently got the 56mm f1.2 just before the 50mm f1 was announced, and that makes for a damn fine portrait lens. As a hybrid camera, it's excellent value and shoots 4K 10-bit internally with beautiful colors. Awesome. Number 7, the Aputure 120D Mark II. We haven't had this light that long, less than a year I think. I don't know how we went so long without it. Everything good that people say about it is true. It's a great light, and if I bring one light with me on a corporate shoot, it's this one. It can be powered by V-LOX, but make sure you're carrying batteries that have enough juice. Our IDX 93 watt batteries won't power it, but our 146s will, but not for long. For me, it's generally a plug-in light. I'll hire a Cream Source Micro when I want something longer lasting on a battery. Number 6, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K at less than $2,000 today with DaVinci Resolve included. No one has a reason not to own this camera other than owning the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Dual native ISO, 13 stop, 6K resolution, B-roll or ProRes. Yes, the sensor read speed is not very good, but just don't run around handheld with it. On a gimbal or sticks, it redefines value in a digital film camera, and with the flexibility of B-raw and 6K of resolution, I would thoroughly recommend this camera as a B-cam to almost anything. Ours has been rock solid, reliable, and for the price, you just cannot go wrong in my opinion. In fact, we are planning on shooting one of our next 2 shorts on this camera with the Look Adapter's Magic Booster in the coming month or 2. Number 5, the satchela SB8 Fluid Head paired with the Flowtech 75 carbon fiber tripod. We got this with the mid-level spreader, which is removable if you want to take it off for super low shots. The FSB8 with a side load plate easily handles up to 9 kilograms of camera and accessories, perfect for a lightly kitted out Ursa or Red or other cinema camera. You'll likely need a more heavy duty head and sticks for a fully kitted narrative shoot, but for corporate work, documentary, and films that don't require a massive camera setup with multiple monitors and accessories hanging off it, this head is awesome. The sticks themselves are light, being carbon fiber, and super fast to deploy and adjust. I only have 2 minor criticisms of this setup, and that's the part where you twist to tighten or loosen the tripod head. When you're doing that, it just feels a tad weak. It's never been an issue, though it just feels like there's a bit of play when you twist it. Also, the sticks, after so many shoots in remote areas, have gotten a bit dirty and they sometimes get stuck. They come out easily if you pull on them, but that's more down to us not properly cleaning fine red dirt and dust off of our gear when we get back from Northern Australian shoots. This is one of those bits of gear that's just made our lives easier and made us faster on location. Number 4, Pro Mists. I know YouTubers have been doing the rounds on black Pro Mists in particular for the cinematic look, and it's a bit of a YouTube trend, but you know, that's for good reason. They're phenomenal filters that can take the digital edge off your image. I'm using a 1/4 right now. They soften skin tones in a seemingly natural way, soften contrast, and introduce halation to highlights in a really pleasing way. There's a subtle, almost glow brought to skin tones in the right light that's incredibly pleasing to look at. I've been using them I've been using them for years on most projects, predominantly a 1/8 standard, not a black Pro Mist. We also have a 1/4 and a 1/2. I personally would not go stronger than that unless I was making a very bold, intentional choice. Our short, currently doing its festival thing, was shot entirely with 1/8 and 1/2 Pro Mists, almost entirely shot on the Zeiss ZF Primes, modded by Duclos, which brings me to number 3, the Zeiss ZF Primes. These are oldies now, but goodies. They were all the rage when the 5D Mark II and the 7D came of age, and they're still phenomenal lenses for the price. Metal housing, great focus rotations, multiple focal lengths available, duplicates of some focal lengths, with some models prioritizing speed and others macro focus and sharpness. Ours are modded by Duclos with hard EF mounts, focus gears, and a declicked iris. It's basically the same glass as what's in the CP2s, and although the CP2s have better focus rotation and all the lens movement is internal, they're a lot heavier. These are very gimbal friendly and very single operator friendly. The focus rotation is generous, but not crazy long, making them possible for hand focus pulls whilst remaining perfectly usable by a first AC in a narrative production environment. We previously owned 3 ZEs, the EF mount ones, but they had an internal camera controlled iris, so we switched to the ZFs. The only downside is that the focus rotates the opposite way to Canon and cinema glass, but that's honestly not a big deal in practice. I jump back and forth between these and other lenses all the time. If you do some looking around, you can get bargains for these online. They are discontinued. They've been superseded by the Milvus line. We have 7 now, and when we switched from ZE to ZF, we bought the 21 2.8, the 28 f2, the 35 f2, the 50 1.4, the 85 1.4, and the 100mm f2 for $6,000 Australian with a Pelican case used, with half the Duclos mods done, just not the hard EF mounts. That's about $4,000 US. We have used the absolute crap out of them and have since picked up the 35mm 1.4, so we have the 3 super speeds of this set. Also, these lenses cover full frame, so if you're moving to a full frame camera or have one, these will work. Number 2. Although my personal favorite lenses that we own are the ZF-35 and 51.4s, despite their flaws, including relative softness and unfortunate presence of chromatic aberration in high contrast scenes when wide open, this clears up dramatically on both lenses at f1.8, and the softness can be beautiful when shooting people, but I digress. The Sigma Art 18-35 is without a doubt the lens you have no good reason not to own if you shoot on APS-C Super 35 cameras. This lens has no right to be as good as it is at the price point it is.
At f1.8, this 28.8 to 56mm full frame field of view equivalent is only $680 US at the moment. It's fast, it's light, it's got a nice image, although I prefer shooting on the Zeiss primes and the way primes force you to move about more to improve your compositions, but I find myself throwing this lens on all the time because it's fast enough and it's flexible. I can shoot wide and I can still get in tight at 35mm if I'm in a situation where I can be close to people. Also, everything is internal, so as you change zoom and focus, the lens length doesn't change. Great if you're using a matte box or have a follow focus attached. Plus, it has quite a good minimum focus distance of 28 centimeters, about the same as the Zeiss 35s. Number 1. This is what it's all about, folks. This is what we've been building towards. For $25 US, the Ore, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, boom holder, or as we call it, the claw. This thing will outlive all of our cameras. When we got it, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, it was life-changing. If you shoot long interviews, even short interviews, put this on a C-stand or a solid light stand and it'll hold your boom in place. It's such a simple thing and it just works. If you don't have this or something like it, get one. You're welcome. So guys, are you using any of the gear in this video? Has your experience been as positive as mine or not? Would you recommend alternatives? Let's chat. Have a great week, guys.